I know that Strasbourg is dear to your heart. Well, actually, I'm going to ask you one more after Strasbourg. But Strasbourg is dear to your heart, and you have a very good argument for Strasbourg remaining the seat of the European Parliament. And if you would like to explain your argument as to why it should remain the seat versus moving it to Brussels.
Thank you for asking me this question, because I like it very much. First of all, yes, as you said, Strasbourg is dear to my heart because I was born here, but it's not the main reason. If it was only a chauvinistic reason, your question would, or my answer would not be so valuable. But there are some other objective and philosophical reasons. First, the first one, idea of Strasbourg being a center for Europe, for the European Union, was Sir Winston Churchill. Strangely enough. Churchill is the man who had the idea of the Council of Europe and of having the Council of Europe in Strasbourg, because Churchill understood that if we didn't want a third war between France and Germany and the rest of Europe, France and Germany had to reconcile. And if France and Germany could reconcile, then the peace would have more chances to be respected in Europe. And if one city was symbolic of the German and French peace, this city could only be Strasbourg. Because Strasbourg has always been a prey for the French and for the German. Not only Strasbourg, but all of Alsace. And Strasbourg is the main city in Alsace. So the Germans and the French have fought at least 4 wars around Strasbourg and Alsace. First, during the 30 Years' War in the 17th century, between 1618 and 1648, that's when Alsace became French. It used to be part of the Holy Roman German Empire, but it became French after this war. Then again, it became German in 1870. The German beat the French in 1870, and Alsace became German again. In 1918, Germany lost the First World War, and Strasbourg and Alsace became French again. Then, in 1939, Hitler invaded Alsace and annexed Alsace in 1940 as a part of Germany again. And Alsace and Strasbourg were conquered again by the French in 1944-45 because the French General Leclerc made an oath in Kufra, North Africa, during the Second World War, and his oath was, "We shall not stop fighting this war until the French flag flies on the top of the cathedral in Strasbourg." And he did it. And after all these wars, General de Gaulle managed to shake hands with the German Chancellor, Adenauer, Chancellor Adenauer. So it was a reconciliation, and that's very symbolic and very important. Second, on a legal ground, if you want to have institutional democracy, if you want to have democracy within the institutions, we must follow Alexis de Tocqueville point of view. Alexis de Tocqueville wrote a book, a famous book for the French, called La démocratie en Amérique, the democracy in America. And in this book, he explains how the United States of America have been built around the idea of democracy. And one of his main ideas is that the powers must be separated. And that, so today, all the lawyers know that the power is separated. This is the first thing that you learn at law school in constitutional law. You learn that in democracies the powers are separated between the executive power, the parliament, who's making the laws, and the judicial power that must be independent. So, the European Union has also separated its powers. The European Court of Justice is in Luxembourg. The European Court of Human Rights is in Strasbourg. The European Commission is in Brussels. The European Council is meeting in Brussels. But with the European Parliament we have a problem, because legally and according to the treaties there is only one European Parliament and one seat of the European Parliament, and that seat is Strasbourg. That's for the theory, but in practice, Brussels in Belgium has better transportations than Strasbourg, a better airport. It's more accessible, first. Then it's really a capital city. While Strasbourg is dear to my heart, but except for the fact that it has a beautiful cathedral, a very respected university, Strasbourg is still a rather provincial city in Europe. We have a little bit more than 600,000 inhabitants in Strasbourg. We have a university of about 70,000 students. But that doesn't make Strasbourg an important city. So the members of the European Parliament, the representatives, would prefer to meet in Brussels, and for that reason they would have their working groups in Brussels, preparing the projects and that had to be voted in Strasbourg. So the working groups are in Brussels in what they are calling the European Parliament of Brussels, which is not the European Parliament of Brussels. It's a building where the working groups are going to working, but it's not a European Parliament. And to respect the treaties, they move with all the aides, secretaries, and archives, documents, at least once every month. Certain months they travel twice, and it costs a lot of money, of energy. Some documents may get lost, and it's complicated to get a room in Strasbourg sometimes for some people, etc.